I really, really did not want to make a video on any of this shit. But the behavior of a bunch of people I know, whom in my mind should just fucking know better, has pushed me to the point where I can't take this fucking shit anymore. So, as I'm sure everyone has heard ad nauseum, Chris, FKA Squestazone, NKA Atheist Hell, had a personal falling out with Extremely Boring and the Archduchess / Morwena. That became public when Extremely Boring and Archduchess went around telling, a couple folks here and there that Chris was either sexually harassing or being inappropriate with another YouTuber. And user, the girls is JJ Talks. Sorry. Just losing my wording over this shit. Anyway, yeah, apparently they started spreading this thing that Chris was apparently being inappropriate with JJ and numerous other women. The incident with JJ apparently happened during some recent Google Hangout. Now, Extremely Boring and Archduchess, they said this to certain folks, right? But they said they did this without reaching out to JJ in the beginning, though. Which is funny to me. It's funny that they make it seem like they care so much about another woman's well-being and not contact the woman whose well-being they supposedly care about so much directly and make sure that she was okay. But here's where things start to get a bit funnier, at least for me. The day that Chris put out that video airing out the details of his relationship with Extremely Boring, the one Why I'm Done with Feminists or YouTube Feminists or whatever, the day that video came out, I hit Chris on Skype to find out what the hell was going on with him and what was up with that video title, as I was unaware of the core issue at that time. When I logged into Skype, I found that Extremely Boring had removed me from her Skype contacts and unfollowed me on her 2 former Twitter accounts and unfriended me on Facebook. And Archduchess did the same. She unfollowed me on Twitter and unfriended me on Facebook as well. They both did this before I knew anything, before I knew anything what was going on. And then Extremely Boring showed up in the Progressive Alliance Facebook group. And this was after, I had gotten Chris's side and watched the video and everything like that. Extremely Boring came into the Progressive Alliance group and started posting all this shit. And so I responded and I said that, I told her that she unfriended and unfollowed me before I even knew what the fuck was going on. And then she had the audacity to try to spin me as a liar by accusing me of saying that she blocked me, which I never fucking said. On top of that, she tried to paint herself as a victim because I didn't ask for her side. When you want someone to know your side of a situation, you typically don't remove them from your Skype and Facebook contacts and unfollow them on Twitter and shit. It's kind of hard to consider both sides when one side has already made that choice for you. And that's a choice that came back to bite Extremely Boring in the ass, because all of a sudden she reactivated her Extremely Boring Twitter and refollowed me, and then sent me a message on Skype trying to make it seem like her removing me from her contacts prior was just a glitch within the software. Bitch, please, you removed me from your contacts, and then you tried to backpedal to cover your own ass as if I'm stupid. No! So, based off of those actions, I'm of the opinion that Extremely Boring is a fucking liar. And having read Skype logs and shit, that opinion has been further cemented. I have no reason to believe that she was ever a victim in any of this shit at all. She lied about Chris being abusive. She lied about him being inappropriate with JJ. And then she tried to use JJ as a weapon to smear Chris's character. All while taking away the girl's agency because, oh, well, she's a young woman, so she's been conditioned to, cater to older men or whatever the fuck. And Archduchess is just as complicit in this shit too. She helped her along. She helped Extremely Boring along with this shit. These two people have been so toxic to the YouTube SJW community, but yet they've been receiving cover from people who are so thirsty to show how much of an ally they are to feminists and women and to trans folk, and they care so much more about being on some moral high ground than actually knowing the truth about what actually happened. And they've been excommunicating anyone who doesn't agree with them and criticizes their actions, as well as weaponizing the words misogynist, harassment, harassing, and shit, and accusing Chris of doing a Warren Farrell and giving the MRAs ammunition. No, folks. You motherfuckers give MRAs ammunition by doing exactly what the fuck you're doing now, being caricatures of what allies and feminists are. For all your fucking claims of being intersectional, when a man discloses that two women are abusing their positions and the labels they identify with within a community, and using that as cover to assassinate his character, you call him a misogynist. Just for fighting back, you call him a harasser. You allow toxic motherfuckers like Archduchess to quote tweets from JJ and spin them to make her look like a transphobe bigot because she didn't go along with Extremely Boring and her plan to be a weapon against Chris. Hannibal criticizes these motherfuckers in a bunch of videos, and then he gets called misogynist. Hannibal links a video from Zachary Amaranth. Sorry, I'm mispronouncing your name, man. He links a video from Zachary on his video regarding sexual harassment in the SWJ community, and fucking Addison, Harmony, Discordia, whatever the fuck they're calling themselves these days, lashes out at Hannibal, who was unaware and isn't any way involved in their issue with Zach. Chris is friends with Bewildered Ape. So, and people don't like that because they think Bewildered Ape is a troll, while not understanding that his whole shtick for YouTube is a satire act. And then when Bewildered Ape and Jenny satirize transphobes and transphobia and Progressive Alliance, they're accused by Captain Andy of perpetuating transphobia. And Jenny's a transphobe just because she and Diana Boston exchanged comments in the comments section. Fucking guilt by association, anyone? It's like some of you just couldn't find one reason to vilify Chris, and anyone else you didn't like, you would just make shit up. Or you'll just use anything he says or does to smear him some more. Which brings me to the dead naming situation. Now, Chris sent Archduchess a message on Facebook calling her by a name that some people contend she no longer uses, while others contend she uses in her offline life. Whatever the case may be, I still think it was dead naming, and I think it was a disrespectful thing that Chris did, which he apologized for in a video that he just put up on his Sequester Zone channel not too long ago. I know he did it to discern if Archduchess was acting alone in all this bullshit and just, using Extremely Boring as a pawn, or if they were both complicit in it together. And Extremely Boring's reply in Progressive Alliance proved that it was the latter. I get why Chris did what he did to Archduchess, but I expressed my dislike of it many times. And I held him accountable for what he did. And I did it without excommunicating him as a friend. How? Because we're fucking adults. It's really no different from being friends with other folks with whom initially I didn't share the same views on social justice and feminism and race-related issues. But then they later became more aware of things bit by bit, right? And as for me, well, people stopped talking to me, and unfollowed me from Twitter and shit because people they're friends with, people they choose to be friends with are liars, and use them as attack dogs against people who call them out on their shit. Instead of, I don't know, coming to me and talking with me on this whole situation and possibly giving cover to people like Hobbs while he was trolling me for no fucking reason on Twitter when he hijacked Chris's old Sequester Zone Twitter handle. Anyone who doesn't fall in line with Extremely Boring and Archduchess's little game, they're spun as either a sexist or a misogynist or a transphobe, and their fucking puppets eat it up and perpetuate this fuckery, and I'm just fucking sick and tired of this shit. I'm tired of this community's inability to look inward and hold Extremely Boring and Archduchess accountable for their shit, and falling for this fragile white woman victim act. All while throwing JJ, someone who was actually victimized and sexually harassed by men in the SJW YouTube community. They threw that girl under the bus. I'm sick of this reactionary, unnuanced behavior. I'm sick of the desaturated perspectives. I'm just fucking sick of the whole lot of y'all. Well, not sick of y'all, just sick of the way a lot of y'all who should fucking know better. I know I'm probably gonna say that a lot, but it's fucking true. People who should just fucking know better. And you guys are giving cover to two of the most poisonous, lying ass cracker bitches I've ever had the displeasure of knowing exist. Y'all want to know fucking Cash what's destroying YouTube? Motherfuckers like that. And motherfuckers like you. And how do you improve YouTube? By growing the fuck up. All of you. Everyone. Fucking grow up. The end. P.S. Yes, I did say lying ass cracker bitches. And you all will deal.